Hi everyone, it's Luke here from Makerspace Adelaide. Recently I was lucky enough to get to visit Thunder Laser in Dongguan, China and tour a few of their factories. We met with some Thunder representatives at the entrance to the first factory and were accompanied by Glenn from the Australian office. In this first factory they produce the Nova line of machines, test laser tubes, hold spare parts and also run their CNC milling workshop. First up on the tour was a look into the laser tube testing room. They have one at each of the factories so they can thoroughly test each laser tube before they go out to customers. For each part of the factory, they have these large inventory areas with a range of nicely labelled parts ready for assembly. There was even an area that was humidity and temperature controlled for more sensitive parts that they keep. Up one level, we got to the first assembly hall. You can see a rack of honeycombs and some blue tubs against the wall. For each stage of assembly, they'll fill the blue tubs with parts ready for assembly as it helps streamline each step for the workers. We're at the tail end of this assembly line, so here you can see some completed Nova and Titan machines. One of the most interesting things we saw was that at each stage of assembly, the workers fill these clear trays with hardware needed to ensure they don't miss anything during assembly or leave anything behind. Partway through this assembly hall, we found a section where the wiring is made for each machine. The wires are automatically cut to length and the connectors are crimped on by workers to standardise the wiring during assembly. Here you can see a worker assembling the LED strips that go into the machines. I was pretty surprised by just how much of the work is done by hand in this factory. Next up, we got to see the testing room for the Nova and Titan series machines. Each machine is hooked up and then runs through a series of tests to ensure things are working correctly. This includes the electronics, mechanical components, and most importantly, the laser tube. Each machine has a multi-page testing document that employees go through. Any points that fail mean the machine simply goes back for correction. They mentioned this one had an issue with the rail guard and the worker was in the midst of correcting it. After heading back to ground floor, we were heading to the machine shop when we spotted this little room. A quick peek inside revealed that it was a sub-assembly room, so these workers are putting together the sub-assemblies that then go upstairs to the assembly hall. In the background here, you can also see where they crate up the finished machines ready for shipping. So in the machine shop, they have a bank of CNC mills cutting slots and holes into parts such as the X-axis gantry rail. We didn't see one in operation, but got a good look inside the mills. Once we finished touring the first factory, the Thunder employees very kindly drove us over to their second factory, which was opened in 2022. It's so large that it includes multiple floors of assembly, their head office, a training centre, and also a material testing room. In this second factory, they have a laser tube testing facility like the first, but they produce different models, specifically the Bolt series and smaller format versions of the new Titan series. These all use the new RF laser tube, which gives you far more detailed engraving and less kerf on your cut lines. We arrived during the employees' lunch break, so it was a little dark to begin with, but soon the lights all came back on. Here you can see empty chassis waiting for assembly. The chassis are built at a third factory that Thunder has. If you'd like to see more about how that works, I'd recommend the Stranger Parts video that we have linked in the description below. The bolt lasers you see here are so compact that they actually get assembled on these heavy-duty Lazy Susans to make it easier for the workers to move them around. Like the first factory, they have blue tubs filled with the components and fasteners needed for each stage of assembly. Here you can see some of those new RF lasers that Thunder is using in their new generation of laser cutters. Once assembled, these go through a variety of movement tests, again just like the Novas that we saw before. This one is scanning across the entire bed multiple times to make sure the motors and belts are working properly. We also saw one with weights loaded on the bed to make sure that the Z-axis was moving correctly. The bolts are then packaged and stored in the corner for shipping. Up one more floor, we got to see the assembly hall for the smaller Titan machines and also the Aurora machines, which are the fiber laser engravers used primarily for metal engraving. This was our last stop on the assembly tour. Thankfully, we then got to tour the showroom downstairs and also the material testing room. Inside the material testing room, they have laser technicians and just about one of every machine that they make. So suppliers can send in new materials to Thunder and their technicians will actually test them and make sure that they're suitable for their machines and also what settings are best for processing the material. I got to try out the new Titan machine briefly, so I ran a quick engraving test. I usually start by writing out hello there at 5mm tall and then step it down gradually to around 1mm tall. You can see here on the first pass of my test design that the 1mm text isn't very legible, but thankfully the technician changed around some settings and we were able to get a really good quality engrave for the text. The other things I really liked about the Titan were the fully enclosed mechanics, the head-mounted positioning camera, the 3m/s engraving speed, and also the fact that the autofocus probe is now built right into the cutting head. One final thing we got to see was the brand new SLM 175, which is actually a metal 3D printer made by Thunder. It's absolutely wild to see in person, and it's capable of printing in stainless steel, tool steel, and a couple of alloys. It's on our wish list at Makerspace, but probably a little bit far away for us at the moment. I'd like to thank Glenn from Thunder Laser Australia for inviting me and the whole team at Thunder who made me feel very welcome while I was there. If you'd like to learn more about laser cutting and what these machines are capable of, I'd recommend visiting Makerspace Adelaide or booking in for one of our induction classes. Thanks for watching.